I'm Shannon, one of the tutors here at Chandler-Gilbert Community College Writing Center.
And I'm Veronica, another tutor here at the Writing Center.
Academic citations drive students crazy. We see students struggling every semester to document their sources.
So we created this video to address some of the frequently asked questions and problems that students face when documenting sources.
So let's get started. Veronica, academic citations, what are they and how do we do them?
Well, some assignments require us to investigate a topic to make a point. Academic citations show that we've done that research and it makes our writing more credible.
So why do teachers ask students to document their sources instead of just trusting their research?
Documenting the sources shows teachers that you've done your research. The documentation gives readers necessary information to find the sources themselves. It shows that readers can trust the student.
MLA is primarily used in English composition, literature, and related fields. It stands for the Modern Language Association.
APA is primarily used in education, social sciences, and similar fields. It stands for the American Psychological Association. Each style uses similar information for documenting sources, but they emphasize different pieces of information and look a bit different.
Each documentation style uses two types of citations, in-text citations and end-of-text citations.
End-of-text citations are compiled in a list of sources at the end of the essay. In-text citations occur within the essay itself. Depending on which style you're using, APA or MLA, they look different. Let me show you some examples. As you can see here, in MLA, the in-text citation, or parenthetical citation because of the parentheses, includes the author's last name and the page number where that information can be found. Notice that the citation is at the end of the sentence and the period goes after the parentheses. Sometimes you may want to mention the author's name in your sentence. In that case, the author's last name does not need to be repeated in the in-text citation.
Now let's look at APA in-text citations. APA also includes the last name, but you'll need the year instead of a page number. APA only includes the page number for direct quotes. Notice how APA puts the in-text citation as close as possible to the quote and uses a comma. That's different from MLA, where the citation is put at the end of the sentence. So what do end-of-text citations look like?
Actually, they're a lot easier to put together than some people may think. MLA and APA ask for the same basic information, but it's put together a bit differently. Let's look at some guidelines. An end-of-text citation list is called a works cited page in MLA. It's the last page of an essay and it contains all the sources used in the essay. It's in alphabetical order by the author's last names. Typically, a works cited page asks for the following information: author's names, title of article, title of book, dates of publication, and page numbers. The information needed depends on the type of source used.
Don't worry about memorizing any of this. You just need to know where to find more information. Go to the Writing Center, use its website, visit the library, and look through reference guides and books. There are many places to find the information you need. And maybe you'll need to use APA style. It's no use memorizing one style over another, but it's a good idea to see the differences. As you can see, the MLA list of works cited is a bit different from the APA references page. Notice that the author's first name is not included in the APA references page, and the date is placed closer to the name. Also, article titles aren't capitalized the same as article titles are in MLA style. But it is a good idea to keep track of your sources as you're researching. After all, you'll need that information when you begin composing your end-of-text citation list. Don't get too bogged down with documentation early in the writing process. It's more important to focus on what you want to say and then use the sources to provide expert support for your ideas. So how do we get those sources into the essay itself?
There are two different ways to do it, using direct quotes and paraphrasing. Let's go over each method. Direct quoting is exactly what it sounds like. You take the exact words from a source, but you do so when the original wording is important, either because it's unique or you can't really say it any better. direct quotes need to be indicated with quotation marks in an in-text citation.
Don't fall into the trap of quoting too much. Remember that other ways of integrating your sources may work better. A good rule of thumb is to use no more than 2 direct quotes per page. Too many more would dominate the paper and your voice would be lost.
When you have a source that contains ideas that support your own, you may choose to paraphrase certain passages of the text to include in your paper. A paraphrase occurs when you express information or ideas from a source in your own words. You do this to talk about general ideas or concepts, or to establish and maintain your own voice while discussing outside sources, information, and evidence. A paraphrase still needs an in-text citation.
So let's have a look at some good and not so good examples of how direct quotes can be worked into your paper. Here's the original source text that needs to be quoted. Here's an example of a hanging or floating quote. The writer simply included a direct quote as its own standalone sentence. These should be avoided because they tend to detract from the flow of the writing. Also, this direct quote is lacking an in-text citation.
Let's look at another example. In this quote, the student did include an in-text citation in MLA format, but the quote is not yet integrated smoothly or correctly with the writer's thoughts and ideas. Can you see how the quote the student included isn't really connected to the student's ideas? You need to use quotes to support your ideas, not just throw them in your paper for the sake of having a quote. Here's an example of a clear and effective use of a direct quote. Notice that the in-text citation does not include the author's last name. Because the author's name is mentioned within the sentence itself, it does not need to be repeated in the in-text citation.
Now, another way to integrate source information into your paper is by paraphrasing. This is when you include information from your source using your own words, not a direct quote. Let's take a look at some examples. Notice that the paraphrase here captures the main ideas of the source text, but does so in the author's own words. Also, the source is indicated by the in-text citation that includes the author's last name and the page numbers from which the information comes.
Here's an example of a poorly constructed paraphrase. This quote could get the student in trouble for plagiarism because the material is almost an exact word-for-word copy of the original text. Plus, no in-text citation is included.
Plagiarism is using another's ideas or words as your own without acknowledging the source. This discredits your authority as a student and as a writer.
Plagiarism is viewed as a violation of the academic code of an institution. Students who plagiarize, intentionally or not, may have a grade lowered, may be suspended from class, and in extreme cases, may be expelled from school.
That's scary stuff. Unfortunately, it's easy to avoid plagiarism. Just keep track of your research and make sure that you cite all of your sources, including words and ideas.
One other way to integrate information from outside sources is through summary. Summarizing and paraphrasing are very similar, but summarizing usually involves capturing just the main idea of the original source. Here's an example of a summary. Notice that it's not as long as the original source information, but it captures the main idea and includes an in-text citation.
A combination of quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing is effective for integrating information from outside sources.
Remember, when it comes to documenting your sources, no one ever memorizes all the rules. All you need to know is how to find the information you need. The Writing Center is a good place to start.
We have many handouts, books, and guides that can help you cite your sources accurately. You can also meet one-on-one with a tutor to get your questions answered or review your essay and citations. No need to schedule an appointment. Just drop by anytime we are open.
We hope you enjoyed our video workshop. Be sure to visit the Writing Center early and often.